The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the first day of August 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medicals and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman, Chief Censure Durham, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sister Sancha, how are you?
Good morning. Jamal, I noticed that you're really staying neutral.
Yeah, I literally just
what's going on?
Just now, I looked for a white shirt, had my black one yesterday, and I said, I'm trying this Maya thing. I'm trying this, trying to be this.
That's not fun.
No, because, I've been accused by some folks, and I'm trying to be conscious. But you know what? I said, tomorrow's the day.
But Jamal, it is what it is. We know what you are. We know, I think you should just stick true to who you are and let Maya be Maya.
Yeah, you're right. Because being this neutral is pretty hard.
No, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. So tomorrow, I'm probably going to be very unbearable.
I'm happy I'm not here with you. I'll be watching though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So, Sister Sandra, it was nice seeing you last night.
I know, right? It was really nice.
Yeah, we got to see each other. We went to dinner, folks, and
Jamal treated us.
Well, yeah. Got to check my account, make sure I can go over. But we went to dinner, and what was funny? I think the funniest thing about this dinner, I didn't know restaurants did this. You know how in the U.S. they make you wait until your entire part is there sometimes before they seat you. But last night was so funny to me because everybody kind of came in time. But the funniest was Phil. We had all finished. Had you finished yours?
No, I was still walking, but I was towards the end.
Yeah, I think you and Lionel Cam was still eating. But anyway, everybody was pretty much done. And Phil's just ordering his food was the funniest thing to me. But then I looked over. I was like, man, Phil's plate's clean. His that looks like a daddy who said, look, the family's been fed. It's my turn now. it was hilarious looking over seeing him do that. But it was so nice because we're not together in person often.
Yeah.
So it's really cool having the entire team there hanging out. And we had a good time, I think.
Yeah, I did. It was nice to see everybody. And then, we got to recap and talk about our weekend because it was awesome. I heard you and Sherry talk about it yesterday, but we had a really, really good weekend.
Yeah. I got to hear, folks, I got to hear some of the funny stories that happened up at Somerset Cricket Club when they were recording. I don't know if they're for public, but they were funny. Yeah.
I'm telling you, being in Somerset, I everybody knows now I am a Somerset born and raised, lived in Somerset since I was 1 year old. And being at Somerset, I've never been to Cup Match selection night. And I learned so much. And, just to go through the experience of how everything runs and the protocols. And it was so amazing to me.
Yeah.
So, Jamal, I'm looking forward to it next year.
You're doing it next year? Oh, okay. Well, hopefully, if you can convince Maya to do it next year.
That being said, we'll see you next year.
Oh, okay. Making decisions for me. Yeah. All right. What's Charles H. Jefferson II says, Jamal, You tell us all the time you're not part of the media. No need to stay neutral. I say I'm not a journalist. I'm not a journalist.
Listen, my
I
point exactly. So why are you staying neutral now? You have been talking smack all this time. Now all of a sudden, no, I'm just gonna be neutral.
Oh, tomorrow is you all asked for it. Tomorrow we're doing it. We are doing it. Um,
Why are you waiting till tomorrow though?
Sancha, I was trying not to trash talk this year and everything, and then you all bought it out of me. I was trying to be very disciplined this year, then you bought it out of me. I just feel like this is our year, and I'll just let our team do the talking on the field. Why do you?
Jamal, I just got a visual of you last year with your hair done like this, and you were so angry because you thought last year was your year. So let's not have a replay of that.
Let's move on, folks, because some people, Sherry and Sancha, they just don't grow up. They're just who they are. But greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome former captain of Somerset Cricket Club, Jekon Edness, to the show. We had Coach Clay Smith yesterday. Jekon is here today. Got to balance it out, so they don't keep talking about me and then there's Sherry and Sancha.
No, I think that you brought Jekon on because you want to hear secrets. You want to know how we actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, all right, let's bring some Somerset people on so we can try to pull a few secrets out of them, and maybe we could win. And I get it. Strategize. I get it.
I see nothing wrong with that. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Let's jump right into it. What's Charles saying? The funniest was Maddox telling everyone why St. George's wasn't going to win, and Sancho's response was, she was embarrassed. She was like, but as I said to Sancho last night, I said, no, children need to speak, especially when it's one of those things, because they see what they see, and it should actually make players behave better. And I'm glad Charles said that, because it brings us into today's discussion, right? How should athletes be held accountable for indiscipline? And the reason I think this is an important question is because the gentleman spoke about it the other night during the Cup Match selection night, and we spoke about out there everybody's watching you, right? Sports is emotional. We're hearing rumors, or there's video and
Allegedly.
alleged incident happened with a player who wasn't selected and the captain of Somerset. Well, first off, and I'm not. Let me be clear, because I don't want people to think I'm making excuses for bad behavior. Sanchez just said something about the process, right? A lot of people new to the process in terms of what happens. You have the committee members that go up, and it's the whole process, right? A lot of people just thought the selector select and the team gets on a board, right? We had some idiot that went online complaining about Media Maya posting the team before the club did, right? All that to say, and maybe Jekon can answer this in a bit, but maybe if it doesn't happen this way already, maybe the clubs can explain to players, hey, you didn't make the team this year. This is why we're going in a different direction. Maybe that can help. Or maybe the players can find out first, ring them, hey, look, we're not going with you this year, but thanks for trying to. I don't know if that prolongs the process. I don't know how that works. And again, I'm not making excuses for how people react. If you don't get picked, you don't get picked, right? I'm not saying it because it's here, not trying to put him on the spot, but I'm pretty sure Stephen Outerbridge, who is very close with Jekon, said the other night, well, he got dropped by his own friend, right? That's honestly, those are the friends you need. They're holding you accountable, right? Those are the friends that are saying, look, you know what? This year, I think what we lack in Bermuda, and we talked about it about road safety yesterday, we talked about it with other things, is we lack accountability. So all of that to say, audience, your question of the morning is, this is our game. I know the clubs put it on, but this is for Bermuda. Think about where this game came from. Today, in 1834, was it? You know what today is? It's the actual emancipation. We celebrate this. This is much more than bat and ball. So again, how should athletes be held accountable for indiscipline? We heard the chat that players going out there, they're knocking the bails off, they're arguing with umpires, so on. And it's not a good look, especially on the biggest day, sporting day on Bermuda's calendar. Whether you like cricket or not, chances are you will know about it, you will be around it, you will, somehow be in touch with it. So how should athletes be held accountable for indiscipline is your question for the morning. Sancha, you got anything?
Okay, so let me start by, as I just said, it was an eye-opener to me, and it made me appreciate Cup Match so much more, being able to be there on selection night. I got a chance to actually go inside and see them like putting together gear, and them telling me this is the room that they're going to be in when they make the selection. No one is going to be allowed in this building once they go up for selection. And then once they were, the team had selected, Richard got that call, and I saw him officially put on his blazer and walk in the building with the executive team and management. And it gave me goosebumps. And I was like, this is a whole process to see it all come into place. Normally I buy a ticket, I go to Cup Match, and I think a team was just played and we play cricket, right? And when I realized what actually goes into this and the historical element of it, I wish more of us knew about it so we can respect it in a different light. Now, when we start talking about discipline, for those that weren't watching selection night, Maddox was there helping us out. So I was like, come on, let's interview Maddox. This is his first year playing cricket. And when we started to talk about St. George's, Maddox said, and I can say this because it actually happened, I saw it with my eyes, he remembers the last game at Cup Match when Dougie was fighting. Now, my 7-year-old, his memory of Cup Match at being 5 years old is the big fight of Dougie being on the field fighting. And we have to remember that, like, these kids, you're setting examples. Now, when you ask him who's his favorite cricket player in St. George's, he tells you Dougie. And it was before the fight. But in his mind, that was the behavior that was displayed on the field. And I'm hoping he doesn't think that's okay. Like, he's very passionate about sports. You know this.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that he feels that this isn't okay. But we say, how should they be disciplined? If we fast forward to, and we're saying allegedly, I mean, we saw a blazer being burned. Allegedly, this player has only played once. And for you to go to those extremes, I'm not going to go to the other part of it because I don't know. This is what I saw, what was put out there, the blazer being burned. Like, that's more than you being upset and setting a blazer on fire. Let's go back to like the history of it. Let's go back to like our forefathers, and you know what I mean? It's a long line of history. And for you to burn that blazer and show such disrespect because you were angry when you've only played Cup Match once and you're still young. Who says you're not going to be chosen next year? It's a team game.
Well, we did see the blazer burned, but we don't know who burned it and whose it was. Well, I don't.
Right. Okay.
Let's just be for clarity. But I just want to ask the audience, yes or no? Do you think we have a discipline problem in local sports in Bermuda? You think so, Sancha?
Definitely. There is not the same respect that it used to be. And, you and I had this discussion yesterday where, how do I say this I feel like just the respect for community has changed within the generations, right? And I'm just going to say it. I feel like there's a hip hop culture and we're listening to this. These kids are listening to this music, and the disrespect that happens, you see it everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's, and the question, do you believe we have a discipline problem in local Bermuda sports? And Kathy Rogers says, definitely. Yes, we do. Marquita Lee says, Most definitely. Paulie Rich says, yes, we do. And Kathy Rogers says, no respect. Growing up, I mean, I liked aggressive players. I liked the Rasheed Wallaces from the Detroit Pistons. I liked Eric Cantona. And I probably maybe was that dude that just liked indiscipline, right? I loved something about the indiscipline for me growing up was I loved fiery characters, right? Eric Cantona is the only one I think went overboard with his kick on a fan, but I think it changed the game as far as like fans between fans and players. Ron Artest, obviously being at the Palace in Auburn Hills in Detroit when the Indiana Pacers were in the crowd and were fighting people in the crowd. I liked Ron Artest's game. I liked his aggressiveness. So now, as an older person, I look back and I ask myself, you know, what about them did I like and how did it shape me? And I think back then I loved the fight. Like, you know, even the way I treat things here is like we have to fight for things. We have to work hard. I always looked at them as the hard workers, if that makes sense. Like the people who were most aggressive. And that just isn't true. As you get older, you realize you don't have to be in discipline. You don't have to be disrespectful. You don't have to, you know, bring the game into that space to be a hard worker. You can actually be a hard worker and follow rules. I mean, I know you're saying, but Jamal, you break them, but you can. And so I can imagine what young children are soaking up now. You know, I was saying to Sandra last night, I'm like, no, Maddox was absolutely correct. His speaking from a child's mind. He said his favorite player in St. George's is talking, but then he didn't say the name, but he did say when Sandra asked.
Said the name.
Huh?
He said the name.
No, I thought he said the name initially that was his favorite player from St. George's, but then when you asked, you know, why wouldn't St. George's win the cup, and he said that because they were fighting or something, right? They were fighting, and that memory as a child is just like, wow, you know, I know again, Sancho's like, oh, let's move on, but no, you got to let the children speak because my hope is that when people realize that this is what children remember of them or fear of them or think of them, that they may say, you know what, let me do better. Mm-hmm. Let me set an example. And that comes from leadership right down, as you will see, between tomorrow cup match.
Question for you. Do you think that some of it is to do, I feel like we had a big, you know, back in the day, it was like it takes a village to raise a child. And now we're kind of in this space of not my child, can't correct my child, don't. Do you think that that plays a part of it as well? Like people are so, like we walk on eggshells when we see kids doing things. And, you know, back in the day, you know, you were disciplined by anybody, let's say it's Somerset Cricket Club, anybody at that field. You know what I mean? You're doing something you shouldn't be doing. You're going to be held accountable. But that has shifted.
Well, as I said earlier, we don't live in a community that holds each other accountable. So I think it all boils, you know, spills over into every other section of society, and that includes sports. So, folks, let's get back to the question real quickly. How should athletes be held accountable for indiscipline? And we did ask, do you believe we have a problem with discipline in sport? And Tanya Cheeseman said yes. Sean DeShield says yes, a major problem similar to the disrespectful road rage situation in Bermuda. Traveling Trotty says a code of conduct is essential for cup match cricket players to maintain the spirit of the game and history and uphold its reputation as a gentleman's game. Shamari Talbot says athletes must be held accountable, and so shall fans. Fans in Bermuda treat athletes and coaches terribly. Interesting. Let's speak about the fan part. Do you think the reaction of fans actually leads to more indiscipline from the players? Come on, soccer mom.
I know. So I feel two ways. I feel as if fans they can be mean, if you do something, I do feel that. But I also feel as if this is the game you're playing. You know why you're playing. And I'm not saying it's acceptable. Yes, we need to work on that. But I also feel like you at this point, if you're in cop match, you should have tough enough skin to know what comes along with that. Right? It's fans are just as passionate as the players. Now, I'm not accepting any don't put your hands on anybody, but there is going to be trash talking no matter how you look at it. And I think you have to have tough enough skin for us to be telling fans like cannot say that. It is what it is, right? How do you feel?
I think it's a cop out. I do think there are levels of respect. I always say, I keep saying it, I love the cup match banter. Like I love it. I just, to me it's in the spirit of the holiday. Like, you wear your colors, I wear my colors. We, have fun with, you haven't won it in this long. Well, growing up, you didn't have, like, it's all in good fun. I don't think it's anything about it that should make it personal, over the top. I don't think I would ever do that. And I don't think we should ever do that. This is something so fun to be enjoyed that it should not ever go to that point where we it's personal. Like, come on, it's not that serious. No one is losing their life, win, loss, or draw. Charles H. Jeffs II for you, Central.
Unfortunately, sports is a microcosm of society. There doesn't, I don't have my glasses, Jamal. There doesn't appear to be much respect for the history and the game itself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm out of tease. I didn't.
No, it's fine. We're gonna do this.
Yeah. Anthony Pete says important to amplify the positives in all things. However, is what gets
amplified.
No, the what, however, I guess the in discipline, however, is what gets amplified is dissent, and it gets major attention. So Tanya Cheeseman says, look at how FIFA deals with it. And then Michelle White says, there is definitely a lack of discipline in local sports, which has perpetrated the youth attitude in general. Youth mirror behaviors of the persons they admire and learn to accept behaviors. I would agree. I think it's okay. Angeline Butler says, yes, they should be held accountable, and it needs to start even at the mini cup match. I saw a snippet of this year's, and there was some questionable reactions. Interesting.
That's interesting.
Michelle White goes on. She says, whether they like it or not, athletes who succeed automatically become role models. To say that they don't want to be role models is unacceptable. There is an automatic code of conduct. Well, Charles Barkley, if you remember Charles Barkley in the 90s, he would tell you, I am not your child's role model. You need to be your child's role model. There were these big campaigns, and Charles Barkley was the leader of not being a role model. I actually agree with him. Yeah. I agree with him that I should not be your child's role model if you're doing parenting right. I completely agree with that. However, I also accept that as someone who may be in the public eye that they may see, that I should carry myself in a certain manner. Again, like the Premier at Cup match, I don't think he should be acting and appearing a certain way, because at the end of the day, you actually chose that. You ain't Prince Harry or Prince William. You weren't born into that. You chose that for yourself. So there are times when we choose things and we know people will be looking up to us. Hey.
But I feel as a parent, like even that situation that happened, like Jesse and I had to walk away and have a conversation with Maddox.
Yeah,
like
we're getting the call, so let's just go through these. You see how we yelled at. Let's go through these last few comments. Kathy Rogers says the fans are also disrespectful. Being passionate is fine, but many times the lines are crossed. And then Michelle White goes, yes, fans too are required to behave accordingly for the sports overall. You for watching at county games and cup match, everyone is watching. And Anthony Pete rounded out says, youngsters have heard some in the sports arena using language and actions that are quite intense. Sledging is the term used. Any players shared with you what is said. All right, well, let's bring in Maya Palacio for the Daily Hour news break. And then don't forget, we've got former Somerset Cup Match captain Jekon Edness in his house. Trying this unbiased thing. So let's see how far it goes today.
I told
you. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, Maya.
How are you?
I'm well rested.
Do you have St. George's blue one again?
Yeah.
Just for St. George's.
Yeah, you tried something last.
She tries to stay neutral, but I think she's slowly coming out of her shell, and it's like, okay, I think she said, accepting it. You rubbed off on her, Jamal. You've been a slight influence. So, Maya, you and I need to book some girl time.
I'm sorry. Maya, stand strong, be who you are. But Maya, you love sports. You're involved in sports. I'm sure you have something to say on this.
Yeah, I do have a lot to say on this, but if I start this conversation, I'm never going to end it.
Yeah, okay. I know.
Yeah. All I want to say is that, yes, we very much so lack holding people accountable for their actions. There is very little discipline. And I think a lot of that also stems from the fact that in Bermuda, we also have very little choices. It's changing now, but I can say from hearing from experiences and being involved in experiences when it comes to sports, like those players that you know that probably shouldn't be playing, but we don't have the numbers to, replace them, or get someone at that same quality level, then we kind of have to stick with them and barely discipline them. And they know it, and they get act the way they act because who else are you going to choose? Who else are you going to replace? We don't have the options, to be like, you know what, you can no longer play on this team. You're too disrespectful. You're sitting out for a year or whatever, or you need to get training or whatever. That can't happen. 2 games later, you're back on the field, and they know it. So, it's unfortunate and it should be unacceptable. But again, lack of choices. And then also the fact that we just allow it at this point.
I think what's also important, which I don't think anyone said, is this is amateur sport. It shouldn't be that hard to discipline people in amateur sport. So
you'd think. Well, good morning, everyone. This is the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Starting out the news early this morning with upsetting news when we talk about road fatalities. But the most recent road fatality, the Bermuda Police Service can now confirm the death of 30-year-old Raheem Burgess, Bermuda's 11th road fatality of 2023, and they extend their sincere condolences to his family and friends. Mr. Burgess was seriously injured when the motorcycle he was riding collided with a car on Middle Road in Warwick near Belmont Hills Drive around 9:17 p.m. Friday the 28th of July. You would have heard me mention it yesterday on the news. The investigation continues, and any witnesses that have not already come forward are encouraged to contact Constable Gregory White at the Roads Policing Unit at 247-1788. Alternatively, you can also share this information with a police officer you are familiar with and trust.
Yeah, and again, it's become a running theme to send condolences to family, friends, community. We're heading into our busiest holiday of the season, of the year, sorry. And I just want to reiterate what Maya will do repeatedly over the next day or two to be respectful, considerate on the roads. It's not just you that uses them. Yeah.
That's really it. And we all know the right things that we have to do. So please do unbuckle your helmets, slow down, don't speed. The other day was the first time I actually saw someone, speed past me and the police was chasing them. And I personally, I've never seen that before, but I was quite shocked, and then saw them get pulled over on the road. I was like, there's no need for you to go at that top speed around all these corners, passing everyone. It's dangerous, not just for you, but for everyone else on the roads. So, be mindful of that. And furthermore, the Bermuda Police Service also confirmed the Bermuda's 10th death that happened. So the death before this one that I previously mentioned, which was Marvin Dyer. He was Bermuda's 10th road fatality of 2023, and they also extend their sincere condolences to his family and friends. He was 48 years old. They say despite all life-saving efforts, he was pronounced dead later that evening on Tuesday, the 20th of June at the King Edward Memorial Hospital. And the BPS family has a liaison officer who is providing relevant support for Mr. Dyer's family friends. As well, they are still saying that the investigation continues, and any witnesses that have not already come forward, please ask to call Constable Kevin Medeiros of the Road Policing Unit at 247-1788.
Yes, same message applies.
Same message applies. Now, leading into a little bit more public notices that you need to know around the Cup Match holiday, because everyone still kind of has a rat problem around their house or in their neighborhoods when it comes to trash. So please dispose of your trash correctly of the holidays. They're saying the waste collection pickup. The Ministry of Public Works is advising that due to the Cup Match holiday, household waste that would normally be collected on Thursday The 3rd, August, and Friday, the 4th of August will instead be collected on Saturday, the 5th of August. But if you have too much waste and you can't wait that much, household waste and recycling bulky items may also be taken to Tynes Bay Public Drop-Off, which will be open from 9 a.m. to 12 noon on the 3rd and the 4th of August, as those are the holiday hours. So 9 a.m. to 12 noon on the holiday hours of Thursday and Friday. If not, additionally, the facility will be open on the regular hours, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on the 5th. And on the 5th of August as well, and the 6th of August too.
I did see my first rat yesterday since being in Bermuda on Harbor Road. I was like, looked like a cat. It was pretty big. I was like, look at New York City up in the place. But go ahead. Sorry.
Some happier news and something that you could probably do with the entire family. This coming up from Masterworks, that the St. David's Islanders and Native community will partner with Masterworks Museum of Bermuda Art to showcase the committee's growth since inception of the reconnection with their Native ancestral roots. The exhibition, titled Then and Now, Claim Heritage, will showcase items on loan from the committee members, which were cultivated after learning more about their heritage. One of the goals of the committee has been to establish a museum. We are not there yet, however, partnering with Masterworks to provide an opportunity to showcase what we have learned and how we have grown. That was a statement coming from the committee chairman, Taralina Murphy. So you can actually see this exhibit. It'll run all the way through to August the 22nd as well at the Masterworks Museum in the Rick Ferries Gallery.
I absolutely love that. I love that.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see. I'm definitely going to go by. So the weather today is looking like cloudy with a few showers, guys, and rumbles of thunder at times. I don't know if you noticed last night, but there was some lightning going on as well. So, just be mindful. Hopefully the wind passes all this through before the big Cup Match holiday and the games, and we have a high of 85 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, so what's with the weather? I mean, so it looks like it's going to be good for Cup Match, right?
It did say it was going to be good. I think it said 30% chance of rain, but that doesn't mean the entire island, just surface section part. So let's hold our fingers, let's cross our fingers, and let's hope for sunny skies. So hope all the wind passes us through.
Maya, we know who's praying for rain. We know who wants it to rain because they want to keep that cup. That's the only way to keep in the cup. All right.
How we know?
We know that's the only way to keep in the cup. So that's why they want rain. That's why she ain't saying nothing. Yeah. Oh, you saying something? I can't hear her. Maya, you heard?
Are you put on mute on purpose? Did you mute her?
I muted because
I didn't mute her.
But when he paused, I was like, Jamal.
Yeah.
The only reason we wanted to rain is that nobody likes Cup Match dance in Georgia.
Oh,
no one.
That.
Hey, look, we just talked about getting personal. Getting personal. Like, look, you know what I'm saying? Essentially, what do you have for days of the year?
Maya, this is very timely. Today is National Girlfriends Day. Giggles, secrets, and shared experiences. Girlfriends are the icing on life's cake. With them, every moment is an adventure, every obstacle a triumph, every celebration even sweeter. On August 1st, 2004, Mistress Susan created a special day just for girlfriends to express gratitude to one another. It's a great chance to take your girls to the park, a play, out to eat at a restaurant, or even to the spa. So Maya, it's better to be friends with me than to be friends with Jamal. Let's have a girlfriend day.
Maya, watch the company that you keep. All right.
I'll come with both of you.
Real quickly, on this day in it's 1834, the Slavery Abolition Act 1833 comes into effect, which abolished slavery throughout the British Empire. So again, happy Emancipation Day to every last one of you. Show some love to your fellow people today, and just remember that was one step toward freedom, and we still have a long way to go. So happy Emancipation Day, everyone. Maya, go ahead.
I do want to add some information on that. You can see it on Media Maya's story about my story that I did on Emancipation Day Media last year. But just some information to note about Emancipation Day, like literally the night all the way leading up to July 31st, the American slave owners were literally trying to buy off as many Bermudian enslaved persons as they could for cheap. And Bermudian enslaved masters were selling them cheap because they knew that, the abolishment was coming. So a lot of, enslaved Bermudians who were here got sold off literally all the way up until the end of July 31st, before the day of emancipation. So thinking about that history and where your family is today and looking at the lineage, that's something that's important to know.
I did not know that. I honestly didn't, and it makes crazy sense. Maya, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We've got Jekon Edness coming up after this quick break. Do not go anywhere because, talking to this guy.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level.
Celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Everybody, welcome back to the big show, Central Durham. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Also, folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day. We've got the former Cup Match captain of Somerset Cricket Club. I said St. George's yesterday, apparently. Let's give him a warm TDH. Welcome to Jekon Edness. What's all the clapping, Sancho?
Do you see that, Jekon?
Morning, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Morning. Yeah, he sees it. Nothing wrong with his eyes. He was a great wicketkeeper in his day. But hey, first off, thank you for doing this. It's a pleasure to have you in the house. I remember, I will always remember you as the captain that really started the dominance of Summits. You oversaw that dominant period. Wrestled the cup in 2012 from St. George's, and it's just been, up in Somerset since. And congratulations on your career and your leadership. But that said, you've been retired, 4-5 years now?
2018 was my last one.
Okay, so 5 years. And how do you feel? Like, what's it like watching the game now versus actually preparing to play it?
So I stopped in 2018, but since then I've dabbled around with helping out Jeff and the other coaches, being an assistant coach for the team. I did a year commentating. This year I'm not doing anything, so this will be like my first year actually watching as a fan, waiting in line like everybody else. So I'm actually looking forward to that, definitely.
All righty. This man, hey, he sounds like, look, hands off. I'm just gonna enjoy it, just like a fan. Yeah, the relief and a lot. Just before we get into the next question, what goes into being a captain? Because I remember you saying, like the time it takes away from family and just having a life. What goes into being a captain for a cup match team?
Well, a lot. When I was captain, pretty much my whole July was done. And it's done because you are under a level of scrutiny that, it takes some getting used to. And I say that, I couldn't go to Pickled Onion on a Friday because people be watching my every minute. No, captain, you shouldn't be drinking that drink. Skipper, you shouldn't be eating those French fries. So to avoid, and then you get the old person who wants to discuss the team. So to avoid all of that, I just used to go training, play cricket, and go home. So my Julys were pretty much work, home, and cricket. There's a lot of intense moments because for Cup Match, the entire island is looking at you and what you're doing. So I've spent a lot of times in darkness, just visualizing the game, thinking strategy. Especially in my early years, it was definitely a lot of nerves around because we lost my first Cup Match as captain. So I'm thinking, okay, will I be captain next year? Or will I be dropped? Once I got given the all clear that I would be captain again, which was 2012, the year we won, it was a lot of pressure, because I knew if we don't win, that could be the end of my party as captain, and I didn't want that to happen. So, yeah, it's definitely a lot of thinking, a lot of preparation that goes into being captain.
Indeed. One of your mates out there talking about you, Jekon didn't do much as captain. I think it's still sour about getting dropped that year. I think it's still sour. But let's actually, again, this wasn't a part of the conversation, but it came up earlier. We speak about accountability in Bermuda and the lack of it. Stephen actually during the Cup Match selection night spoke about being dropped. What went into that? Like, how did that feel as a captain versus a friend having to do that?
Well, the good thing about that is that Stephen is mature enough to understand the business of Cup Match. He was my roommate in university, so we would have in-depth conversations about Cup Match, us actually performing as in Cup Match together, which never happened. He ran himself out one time. We were in the process of putting together a big partnership. But, he was mature enough to deal with that decision. And he knew that before we ran up into the room, he knew that his position was up for grabs. But all he said to me was, look, if it's going to happen, I would rather hear from you. He didn't want to see it on the blackboard. So once things were, set in stone and it looked as if he was going to be left out the team, I sent him a WhatsApp prior to the team being released publicly.
Indeed. And Sancho, again, earlier, remember what I said? I wonder if the teams inform the players, because I'm not saying it needs to be done. Nothing's going to justify poor reaction or bad behavior, but I just think it adds a level of, integrity and respect. But again, it could be too much, right?
Yeah. No, but I feel like that is a part of it, right? I think that if the captains can be given that, can we have a meeting with the team first? Right. No one else. Captain, team, let's talk about this. I think it may settle some feelings, some ill feelings, and it may be a different reaction. Yeah.
And speaking on that, Jekon, the team's been out for a couple of days. Well, St. George's been out about a day and a half. But anyway, we're not getting into that. But what are your thoughts on Somerset's team this year? Obviously, with Mr. Mabry stepping out, young Makeel Walker, and then Stephen Bremer coming back in to replace wicketkeeper Ferbert.
Yeah, I still think it's a strong team. As Coach Jeff Richardson said, we are kind of spoiled up there. We have a good nucleus of players to begin with, but outside that, we have some exciting youngsters coming through, of which Makeel Walker is one. He only just started playing cricket last year, but it's been a meteoric rise for him, performing for his club team, first Bayless Bay, and then really solidifying his potential last week with Eastern County, a 5-wicket haul in a big game, kind of puts one foot in the door for Cup matches. If you perform Eastern County, which is a week before the final trial, that kind of is an unofficial trial match. And to his credit, he performed Eastern County and Bill well in the Cup Match trial. So, he deserves his chance.
Indeed. And let's speak about Somerset's dominance. So again, your second year as captain, you won in 2012, and Somerset hasn't looked back since. Now, growing up, St. George's had the cup a lot, but let's be honest, there were a lot of draws. There were not as many victories in the early 90s and throughout the 80s. What do you think has been key to Somerset's dominance over the last decade or so?
Discipline. When I say discipline, I mean just the little things, being on time, at events, looking the part, shirt tucked in. If one person's wearing a hat, we're all wearing a hat. Little stuff like that started to creep into our team. And also, we had a group of players, myself included, that spent our first 5 or 6 years of playing cup match either losing or drawing to St. George's. So when I was a youngster, we played against Charlie Marshall at the end of his career, Clay Smith towards the end of his career, Glenn Blakeney, Tit Can. We played against the Dean Miners. So I was a coach playing against those guys, and we wasn't winning. So once we got a taste of winning, we said, we're not going back. You understand? So, like I said, we had myself, Malachi, Stephen Otterbridge, and a few others Jacoby Robinson, Gennaro Tucker, who were part of that group that were losing or drawing. So once we won, there's no way we were going back to losing. So we did whatever we had to do to maintain our ascendancy.
So with that being said, without giving too much away to Jamal, because we know what he's like, what does Somerset have to do to maintain the winning ways?
Somerset have to just be themselves, do what they have been doing all this time. It will be a little, all right, the law of averages, St. George's have been dominated over the past 10 plus years. Law of averages states that eventually, whether it be this year or next year, they have to rise to the occasion. So Somerset has to be prepared for some type of St. George's backlash, and a sustained backlash, because even though they may provide moments of pressure, they haven't provided sustained pressure to really get Somerset thinking. So it's up to them to bring the game to Somerset and keep Somerset under pressure to see what would be the next move. But in regards to Somerset, they just have to maintain their shape. They have experienced players in their team. So they just have to maintain their shape and be prepared for whatever St. George's brings to the table.
You wrote notes down, Jamal? You got that?
I need my
So Mikhail Walker, what does he as a coach already bring to an already dominant team this year?
Tall, moves the ball in the air. So because of his height, he will get some additional bounce. He also, in league cricket, has been getting a lot of wickets against St. George's. Obviously, the cup match team is slightly different, but he will have memories of performing against St. George's, not in cup match, but generally. So hopefully he could take that confidence into the big day, get over the first over nerves, and then just get into the game. But he is definitely an exciting prospect, and hopefully, he does well over the 2 days.
Now, you just talked about averages and all of these things, and St. George's may rise to the occasion this year. How should Somerset prepare to face St. George's team differently with the likes of like Delray Rollins? I mean, so many people have been talking about Delray being on the team. How do we prepare to face that?
I mean, yeah, we would try to. Yeah, I don't want to talk on that. I was going to almost get back into player mentality and how I would deal with it, but speaking generally, speaking from a outside looking in perspective, Delray is a quality player. We all know that. So it's just about taking the chances when he gives them. If you look at the papers, yes, he has been scoring runs, but also he has been given chances whilst he scores runs. So if I'm Somerset and I'm in the team or a coach, telling guys, look, we have to hold on to whatever chance he gives. One man can't win the game by itself, but we would definitely have to try to contain him and keep his contribution to the match as minimal as possible.
Indeed. Folks, if you have any questions or comments for Jekon, send them through. We'll get through as many as possible. What? I want to go back and just talk about you a bit. Like, obviously, I think the answer may be 2012, but outside of 2012, what has been your most memorable experience when you were a player?
2012. Get that? That was the best day ever. Because again, we had 6 years of getting close to beating them, but losing, or so to finally get over the hump, it had been Somerset lost the cup 2005, so it was close to 10 years. So to get over that hump and win was awesome. And also 2015, winning down St. George's for the first time in 31 years, I think. So those would definitely be the two highlights as captain.
Yeah. I know in 2015, everyone had said, "Oh, they ain't beat St. George's, Don St. George's in years. It's never going to happen." And when it happened, man, my heart was broken, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was broken because you just think history will be history, right? You think, oh, it's never going. It's like records. Like some records, it'll take lifetimes for them to fall. And I think of all the victories, not even the 2-for-1, that one probably hurt me the most. I was like, wow, you couldn't defend home court. But how important, because Clay Smith yesterday was saying, we want our fans in St. George's loud. We want them to react like this. How important is the home field advantage during cup match?
Home field advantage is key. I know in 2012, we prepared the wicket, and this is public knowledge now. It's a good 11 years since it happened, but we prepared the wicket, or under-prepared the wicket, I should say, to react in a certain way so that we can get an advantage. We knew the wicket would eventually be dry and start turning big and popping up. We knew that. So we knew that when we batted in our first innings, we had to post a decent score so that we didn't have to bet and chase. We didn't have to bet in our second innings chasing anything over 100. So, when you have that home court advantage, you can prepare the wicket to cater to your team. So if I'm Somerset now, next year, if we still have the cup going back up west, obviously the wicket will be suited for the batsmen. Yeah. Because in order for St. George's to win, they have to bail us out twice. So why would I give them a wicket that assists the bowlers? So home court advantage is definitely can't be taken lightly.
Yeah, indeed. We've got Renee Simmons says he's looking more and more like his father, Anthony. Another cup match, great. And we've got Selena Simons, diehard Somerset says, "Hi, Jekon." Sherry says, "Welcome, Jekon. The best." You got your people out there. Let's talk about rain, because I did speak about the elements, right? And I remember the year, I think it was the 2-for-1 when. Was that the year Anais got the century? I think it was.
Correct. It was, yes.
He got the century. And St. George's seemed to be time wasting to avoid the eventual, right?
Right.
What factor? I mean, again, people just see you guys bat ball on the field, right? But how much does it play a role in decisions, like at the toss, if you win it, whether you're gonna bat or bowl, like where the sun's going to be, the temperature, all of that is taken into consideration, right? But just explain how you go about making those decisions, not just like what type of pitch.
The pitch and rather dictate the decision that's made. The toss is very important. Sometimes it could win or lose you the match. But if I'm captain and I know it's going to be rain or on, 95% of the captains will end up fielding first. The cloud cover assists with the ball moving in the air. And if the ball is moving in the air, that means when I say moving, I mean moving laterally, left or right. When the ball is moving in the air, that means it's more difficult for the batsman to bat. And if it's more difficult for the batsman to bat, that means there's a higher chance of you taking wickets. So, the weather will play a part. So now if we get there and it's sunny, the wicket looks decent, okay, we're going to have a bet. We're going to try to put a good score on the board and put St. George's under pressure. But the wicket and the weather definitely are two variables that need to be watched, and they definitely come into the thinking when you're about to take the tours. And team strategy as the game goes along.
Indeed. I mean, before you head out to go and get ready for your Cup Match holiday, what would you say to Bermudians about Cup Match cricket and just the holiday overall? What would be your message to the island?
Enjoy yourself. Be safe. Support your team. My thinking, I heard you say earlier that the Premier should be partial. I don't agree with that. I think everyone should have a team. I go back as far as when I was captain. Paula Cox was the Premier. We lost my first year as captain, and she was the Premier, and she showed up down St. George's in a half red and blue and half blue and blue outfit, and we lost. I said, well, what is she? You know, she was my dad's boss at the time. I said that's not right. You got to pick a team. So the next year, 2012, who was Premier? I can't remember, but whoever was Premier showed up in red and blue, and we won. And ever since then, Premier has shown it has been red and blue, and we've been winning. But
you have to pick a side, Jamal.
Yeah, it's culture. It's culture. That's just how it is. But I would encourage everyone to pick a side, cheer for your team no matter what, and have fun. That's what Cup Match is all about. And let's be on our best behavior, as you alluded to earlier. That's very important. But before I leave, I know you mentioned you had a question of, do we have a problem in local sports? And I'm not going to dive into this because I'm a sports development officer, but I would just put out there, in my professional opinion, I think that's a very general statement. I sit here and I look at, we have 25 national sport governing bodies, and some of these things don't happen at triathlon, at tennis, at equestrian, at basketball, at gymnastics. So when you say, does local sport have a problem, you have to factor in the sports. I think we're looking at, when you ask that question, you're referring to the sports that are predominantly watched and predominantly in the paper. So I think the question will have to be altered a bit. I think that's a very, I think we're doing sports a disservice when we say local sports, because you're encompassing all sports, and some of the sports, squash, another one, they don't have those type of problems.
Well, I think I'm going to be more direct than you. I'm not going to say the sports we watch. I'm going to say black sports, and I think that's the intention that we were speaking of this morning. This show, we don't.
All right, so now we get to it. So you said local sports, so I'm assuring that when we say local sports, because there are people who are still looking for sponsorship. And some of these companies may say, okay, well, Jamal Hartman said local sports has a problem.
Jamal Hartman didn't say anything. Jamal Hartman asked a question. That's what Jamal Hartman did. He asked
but
general
speaking
question to the audience.
And I don't want to go off topic, but speaking, from as an advocate for sport, I just wanted to ensure that, when you pose those types of questions and you say you're direct, I would say be direct with the question instead of local sports.
Yeah,
local sports doesn't have a problem.
Traditionally, we would.
Yes.
But we know who our audience is. And truthfully, our audience ain't those people in gymnastics. They're not those people in equestrian. We're talking about the sports that this audience watches. I take your point. Yeah. But we're talking about what everyone's talking about, and we didn't talk about it because it's alleged, is the behavior of someone who was dropped. So what's speaking to the audience about what they deem local sports, what they pay attention to, I can guarantee you. They're not watching gymnastics like they would watch football or cricket. They're not taking part in squash. So that's the intent. So our questions are directed towards the demographic that we're engaging.
Correct.
Yeah. But thank you so much for today, my friend. And
thank you for your time.
I will say all the best to Somerset, because they will give a good game. Just hope it's not as good as St. George's game.
I would say good luck to St. George's. Because Cup Match, the product of Cup Match, deserves a competitive match. That's all I'll say. And it's up to St. George's to be competitive for 2 days.
And that's all we asked for. And I said that the other day, respectfully. That's all we want. We want 2 full days of cup match. We don't want to end it at 3 o'clock. I said it nicely.
But up to Somerset, and I wouldn't be surprised if 3 o'clock on Friday,
See, he couldn't just leave it.
Thank you, Jekon. Thank you.
Good brother. Thanks so much, Jekon. I'll probably see you at the field. Will you be the first bowl? Someone was asking.
Yep. I'll be there first bowl. Hopefully both days. Definitely. I'll be roaming around and enjoying the fan experience.
All right. We'll see you at the game. Red and blue.
Yes.
You're red and blue. I'll be in my
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Jekon Edness, folks. Please give him a thumbs up, a love, a like. We have to take a quick break. We'll be back. The question actually is around Jekon's family. Daily play.
Oh, good Lord, Jamal.
The question is around Jekon's family. All right. So, Sancha, you have 50 seconds to figure out what the daily play question is going to be. All right. You got it?
Hi, welcome to ER Fisheries. I'm Jalen Steed, store manager and trained chef, and I'm here to help you with all of your food needs. Let's talk about why you should come and check out ER Fisheries. We offer the widest range of specialty meats and seafood items at a price point that will absolutely fit your budget. As a chef, I'm able to answer all of your food questions, help you come up with meal ideas, and generally guide you in the right direction. You'll get a custom shopping experience unlike any other food store in Bermuda, where we'll cater to your needs and provide you with excellent customer service. Where else can you get quality cooking advice and quality products? I look forward to helping you with all your meal ideas.
Sancha, were you Googling just now?
Jamal, leave me alone. You don't know what I was Googling.
That's okay. I was just asking if you did.
You gave me a hint, and I said, let me get myself up to speed. Is that, I may be looking at the wrong thing.
Okay. All right. Folks, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to Jekon Edness, former Somerset captain, for joining us today. If you appreciated the conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, family, friends. Hey, the one thing that's better than politics this time of year is cup match banter. So send them the conversation. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Mediquals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, Cup Match Edition, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Sancha, are you ready?
Let's go.
All right, it's more Cup Match Trivia today. Folks, real cricket fans will get the answer to this. Which Amanda's brother is a former Somerset Cup Match captain?
So I'm going to say Andre. Oh, I got one.
Yeah, it's not
without help. I got one.
It's Andre Doc Manders. Nope.
You know how that makes me feel?
How does that make you feel?
It puts me in that winning spirit.
We shouldn't have did that then.
Well, and your volume went down a little bit. Maybe it got you nervous.
We shouldn't have did that. No, we shouldn't have did that.
Yeah, that made me feel good.
So that Jekon's father, the late Anthony Manders, and his uncles, Andre Doc Manders, was the captain of Somerset. I want to say in the 80s into the early 90s, and then Arnold Manders actually played for St. George's. Arnold played for St. George's. So Anthony Doc Manders was a skipper for Somerset. Sancha, I'm happy you got that for some reason.
I know, me too. You know what? This is the year where I feel like I've grown in Cup Match. I've not just become, a fan that shows up and watches cricket. I've really become a supporter.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Learned a lot in the past few weeks, and it's good. Feeling like I'm being a part of the team.
Cher's clapping for you. Yeah, just clapping for you. Stephen, we know you were gonna get it. But no, hey, look, I'm trying to think. Are there any siblings in Cup Match these days? Let us know. Are there any siblings? I mean, I know we had Clay and Wendell Smith. Yeah, I'd like to. Aronde and Anais play at Cup Match, but obviously Aronde didn't get in the team this year. This makes me laugh, Sencha. Michelle White says, "Well done, Sencha." Okay, for Somerset person, I love the Sencha part.
Discussion last night, right? So yeah, my name is almost 60% of the time mispronounced, but it's fine. I know who they're talking about.
Don't call me Jamal because I don't know who you're talking to about. But anyway, let's wrap today's show up. Final thoughts. We spoke about how. What was the question? How do we? How should athletes be held accountable for indiscipline? And then obviously the conversation with Jekon.
So as I said, there has to be a level of accountability because there are kids that are coming through. Like I said, this was Maddox's first year playing cricket. He needs to know that there's a level of accountability for your actions. But I do think looking at the history of things, sometimes history should shift a bit, and we should put things in place. And I definitely think that the clubs should probably look at a layer of, okay, I know we want to get the team out there, but management execs have vetted, looked at the team. We agree. Let's give the captain, even if it's a 10-minute area, whereas he calls the team together and he explains why, how, and all of that sort of stuff to alleviate, because it's tough, right? Mm-hmm. You sitting around, waiting around, especially if you feel like you're a person that, it's a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. You're going to be in that team. And then you're just dropped. There has to be a level of humility. You know what I mean? So we need to look at that. Yeah. And as I said, when you saw burning blazers, Jamal, that's a huge message. And I'm not quite sure, if things went the way it appears as if they went. I'm not sure he realizes how big of a statement that was. And he has to be reprimanded for it.
What about Jekon?
Jekon, thank you, Jekon. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on, setting things straight. Jekon, you were going to overindulge. I encourage you to pick up the phone and talk to the captain this morning, whatever you were going to say as to how we deal with Del Rey. Oh, boy. I need you to talk to Jordan this morning. Yeah? And it's good. I'm actually happy for him that he's reached that stage where he can actually go and enjoy. It's probably going to be an amazing 2 days for him where he gets to sit on the other side. And it actually may be difficult.
Yeah. So. Well, I want to say this. As far as, how should athletes be held accountable for indiscipline? I think if there aren't already in some sports, there are rules, there are guidelines of what happens. Someone said it earlier, if I can just bring up the comment. Someone said if there's a rule book, Polly Rich, if there's a rule book and penalties for infractions, then players need to be held accountable to that penalty. Not like the recent foolishness with a player. Why we seem to slack off on discipline because a sports person is looked at as one of our best. If Bermuda need to miss out on competition, so be it. But it comes down to money, always said. Look, when it comes to indiscipline, I think there just need to be, if there's rules, we need to abide for them. Obviously, there'll be some cases where it's like life. I mean, other sides get to appeal and get to, shout their case. But I think we have to be very honest with ourselves, and we need to be more accountable. And that's only going to start when we start holding even those people we love. We have a problem holding people that we love accountable. And this spills over into the sports that we love and enjoy. And again, as I just said to Jekon, we know who this show is targeting. We know who our audience is. Unfortunately, our audience isn't really dominant in watching. They're not going to watch even the dinghy race like they would cup match or football. Most of them are not putting their children in there or haven't traditionally. So as far as this audience goes and this show and this demographic, they have a problem that they see when it comes to indiscipline. And based on the comments, they have suggestions and ideas on how to fix it. Saying that it doesn't happen in other sports isn't going to fix the problem in the ones that we actually do watch and focus on. As far as the conversation with Jekon, again, a very successful captain, someone who brought a lot to the game and ensured that it remained a gentleman's game. Happy that, as you said, Sancha, that he has the opportunity to enjoy the game as a fan this year. And I'm just hoping that it's a competitive game, and competitive meaning us in Georgia's victory. Do you have any daily inspiration for us?
I do. This is specifically for St. George's, and it's brought to you by ER Fisheries. Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. And that's by Winston Churchill.
We appreciate the inspiration, Sancha. you all are superior trash talkers. I'm telling you, I didn't even know Somerset people could talk back in the 80s and 90s. I'm serious. You all found a voice. But anyway, folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sancha Durham. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.